Go.
Almost hidden in Yukawa's explanation is the word happens. But in it is a world of creativity. It signifies a chance combination of ideas. The similarity is noticed suddenly by chance. Two things that have not been thought of in the same context are seen to be alike. Steve Watson has told me of the Japanese word satori, which means sudden enlightenment. That seems to me to be what I would call the moment of discovery. In Marcel Proust's In Search of Lost Time, the narrator toward the end of the book discovers the miracle of analogy, that analogies point to the essences of things, something that would have been familiar to Yukawa. In fact, the reader finds that it is this that has made possible the writing of the 4,000 or so pages that he's just read. And so the miracle of analogy, so responsible for discoveries in science, is responsible also for this book, called one of the greatest literary achievements of the 20th century. And Proust said, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. The turquoise sea. I dreamed the treasure's hiding place was like the snow white strand between a jeweled turquoise sea and some exotic land. And in my dream, the sea had gone 1 billion years ago. But still I'd find a treasure's lair, for looking I would know that some things tell of vanished seas and some of vanished land. And finding both, I'd look between and find the hidden strand. And in the strand a treasure trove, the vision promised me. But morning's finger touched the dream that held the vanished sea, and suddenly space changed to time, and in between to now. And there I found the treasure strand. The likeness showed me how. The castaways. A saying in a search for gold was gold is where you find it. That nature has chaotic rules, or none at all, to bind it. But things have turned out differently. No one could have dreamed as much, or who could dream that this would be? That these two mind walls which I see, and reaching widely I can touch, were once two drifting castaways from island arc and ocean floor, that Friday-like and Crusoe-like, they washed upon our western shore to find their other castaways, and with them form a new domain, where there had been no land before. And gold, which seemed a random thing, scattered by some power above, is really golden filigree that binds two strangers caught by love. The poem The Turquoise Sea begins as a description of an actual exploration project. The idea is proposed that what we are looking for is an ancient shoreline. This idea first comes to someone almost as a revelation. Someone has looked at the rocks and has said, I'm looking at an old shoreline, and it is in it that I see evidence of what I'm looking for. But it's almost all deeply buried. Exploration proceeds by drilling holes and recognizing land in some holes and offshore in others. In this way, defining the ancient shoreline along which to explore. At the end of the poem, an analogy is made between space and time, and this analogy is said to appear suddenly, for that's how it happens. In the poem The Castaways, it's been realized that the gold deposits occur at the contacts of accreted terrains, pieces of Pacific seafloor and islands that have been jammed onto North America, overriding or sliding under the rocks already there. Cordillera, fragments of forgotten lands rafted on forgotten seas, welded to the western strands like some gigantic marquetry, all inlaid with gold between. Time's mosaic of what has been, portending what is yet to be. In the early 1950s, Ron Vickers, a U.S. Geological Survey geologist, pointed out that small uranium deposits on the northeast flank of the Black Hills occurred at a color change in the sandstones containing them. The uranium was depositing where the environment was changing from oxidizing to reducing. This became the basis for much of the exploration during what was called the uranium boom. Eventually, it was found that the largest and richest deposits in the world were at the greatest oxidation reduction boundary, that which happened 2.5 billion years ago when the atmosphere changed from reducing to oxidizing. A likeness that probably wasn't recognized until after many of these large deposits had been found. The first hidden likeness shown to me allowed us to draw circles on a map of Wyoming, circles around areas which could be targets. The first one we drilled became a new mining district. That determined my career, not the mining district, but the emotion of the hidden likeness. It may have been among the very first signs that mineral deposits could be found without surface evidence. What has this to do with poetry or art? Robert Frost speaks of likeness and analogy as metaphor. In his poem, The Silken Tent, where does the likeness of a woman to a silken tent come from? It had to come from somewhere, suddenly, by chance. There's no list of things a woman is like that includes silken tent. She is as in a field, a silken tent, at midday when a sunny summer breeze has dried the dew and all its ropes relent, so that in guise it gently sways at ease, and its supporting central cedar pole, that is its pinnacle to heavenward and signifies the sureness of the soul, seems to owe naught to any single cord, but strictly held by none, is loosely bound by countless silken ties of love and thought to everything on earth the compass round, and only by its going slightly taut in the capriciousness of summer air is of the slightest bondage made aware. Michelangelo said, "Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it." What Tracy found, just looking at the clay, how did she know? Did something call her by her name or sing? Some hidden being waiting there below the smooth and wordless surface of the thing, to be brought back, to be alive again? Some hidden likeness to something she knew, some vision of her past, someone she'd been, some truth. It was as if she had seen through a mirror to a secret world behind, and by a sleight of hand made that world be. A new world with its treasure still to find. And so she saw where no one else could see, and moving all the covering dross away, found Aphrodite in a block of clay. The memory wing at the care center is a place of discovery. Here's a haiku. Sounds stop to listen. Music asks the stars for help when Yoshiko weeps. Remembered song. If time should come and steal my memories, if you look in my eyes and cannot see, if something takes away my yesterdays, play these, my songs, and know you're hearing me. And if by chance I hear the melodies, the faithful sun may now and then break through, and I will feel the warmth that used to be. And in remembered song, remember you. Canyonlands. Where is the confluence in the mind? Where hidden likeness is combined? And where the arts through which we see as one what once were two or three? And from what chaos of what flow, the symmetry appear and grow? And where the trail that enters in and shows and fades and shows again? And who the traveler in whose eyes the hidden land of beauty lies? Scarlet Julia. In a torn earth, along a mountain road, where progress had made nature a confusion of scarred and upturned rocks and roots laid bare, I found the scarlet Julia in profusion, as if it were its native meadowland. There seemed to be more there than anywhere, as if it meant to prove some vital point or send some message I could understand. Whether its intent, I didn't know, its language being different from ours. But it seemed to be that it was telling me, by its presence in a place tormented so, that rough and stony as may be my hours, they will blossom like a meadow full of flowers. Suppose there were no words. How would you know I love you? In springtime, you would hear my voice in these: the iris on the mountainside, the cranes, the apple trees. In summertime, the columbine. In autumn, purple asters, fireweed. In wintertime, soft falling snow. And any time, you could look into my eyes and you would know. Where did that song come from? Do we have to have seen Dr. Zhivago to know it's a love song? Where does music come from? A few nights ago, I was at a street festival in Cedar Edge. A little 13-month-old girl was dancing in time to the music, barely able to walk, but keeping time to the music. What's hidden inside us to make that possible? Frost said a poem is when an emotion has found its thought and a thought has found its words. Music must be even deeper when sound has found its emotion. A poet's prayer. Somewhere, I know, there's a sacred chest that holds the scattered notes that are a song. Discovery attends on every quest, Alexis said. God grant he was not wrong. What first brush stroke, first blow of the chisel into the marble, first working of the clay, first notes of a song or words of a poem might be the explosion of a hidden likeness. Had I not had the opportunity to look for uranium deposits or gold deposits or the like, I might never have encountered that phenomenon and the feeling of the heart missing a beat in science and in poetry. I know of no poem that shows the discovery of a hidden likeness better than this one by Verity Martin, My Verity. She called it Petal Fall. She had to know something about apple trees to know they sometimes blossom in the fall if under stress. And she had to know something about an old woman and love. But to put them all together, that autumn, the old apple tree, split by storms, gnarled and twisted, only half its limbs alive and leafy, blossomed in a fairy froth. In my mirror, an old woman bears the mark of passing storms, of passing seasons. But as you enter the door, at the sound of your voice, a shower of petals falls softly. And last, for Margaret, my partner in discovery, in America and Australia, in science and in poetry, part of a poem by the Australian poet Henry Lawson. The night too quickly passes, and we're growing old. So let us fill our glasses and toast the days of gold, when finds of wondrous treasure set all the south ablaze, and you and I were faithful mates all through the roaring days.